the,
Hold on, hold on. It's still preparing to stream.
okay, let me know.
I will.
Okay, it says on ours that it's now streaming.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, I'm calling to order the meeting of the Oregon City Library Board on October 13th, 2021 at 5:34 p.m. I'll do a short roll call. Cynthia Andrews is here. Heidi Blackwell. Nick Dickman. Yeah, I know he's here. There he is.
Yeah.
David Goldberg is absent with permission. Carrie Linder. Here. Okay. Larry Osborne.
Yo.
And Elizabeth Zintner is not right here right now.
She's coming in right now.
All right, great. We're just going to move on. And let's take a quick look at the minutes from the last library meeting and give people just a second to reflect on those which were sent out earlier. And then I'd like to have an approval of the minutes if possible. So
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for
a motion
September.
has been made by Nick to
Second.
approve the minutes of the August meeting. Do I hear a
Of
second?
August.
Second.
All right, Oz has seconded that motion. There's been a motion and a second to approve the August meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Nay. Abstain. Minutes approved then. Okay, we have some public comments this evening from Erin Brenneman. So Erin, please introduce yourself and your role, and you have about 3 minutes. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I'll take up the whole 3 minutes. I just wanted to kind of jump on here. I was actually didn't know if we were going to be in person or head out there, and so I saw it was on Zoom, and here I am. But I just want to say hello and introduce myself. I'm Erin Brenneman. I'm the new publisher of the Oregon City News, Clackamas Review, and the Happy Valley News. This is my second tour with Pamplin Media Group. I was here in the early 2000s as a sales rep and then a sales manager, and then left and did some other business endeavors and worked for some other nonprofits, and was recruited back recently, kind of earlier this year, helping facilitate the transition and retirement of the current publisher and some of their sales team, kind of to rebuild to the future coming out of COVID. So really that's about it. You know, I'm just saying hello, and this was a great opportunity to come see you guys. And a side note, I am a huge Link fan. So I've lived in Clackamas County almost all my life. Went to school in Bend for a while and went to journalism school at the University of Oregon. Like I said earlier, for those of you that were on the call, grew up in a newspaper family, avid reader, lived here in Clackamas County ever since, and take full advantage of Link resources for interlibrary access, Libby, all of the things, the Internet of, or the Library of Things. That's super cool to get those when I can. And, you know, when I walk in and see something. In previous careers, I've sort of worked as an independent contractor and working with small business and nonprofits, filling in the gaps in their marketing and communications and technology needs. And so I would oftentimes, especially pre-COVID, work from libraries all the time. I mean, I sat down there and that big table you guys have down in the front next to the Oregon collection, and work for a while and then turn around and just see like what random Oregon history book can I flip through for a few minutes and then turn back around. So love libraries. And also, you know, with the Happy Valley News product we have, been able to work with their library teams up there, Isaac and Doug, and just wanted to jump on here. It reminds me of my personal passion for libraries, the value of reading, the value of long form, the value of information, the value of, you know, I grew up in an area where we had card catalogs and librarians, and people knew a source from a source, a book from a book, article from an article, a website from a website. And I see value to our communities and to our democracy and promoting and facilitating that in any sort of way, messaging, sharing that with others. So that's it. That's me. I just want to jump on and say hello to you all and introduce myself. And also, you know, the more people I know, the more times I can go to the library, the better my day is. So that's me.
Well, thank you very much, Aaron, for introducing yourself and for the newspaper's service to a variety of communities. And we look forward to working together with you in the future. So thank you very much for your time this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on then. We have a presentation from Gina Bacon and Barrett Miller regarding the 2021 summer reading program. So take it away, library ladies.
There we go. Got everything set up and unmuted. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Fabulous. All right. Let me just adjust this so I can see Gina's face.
I know. Where are you, Barrett? Where's Barrett? Where'd you go?
All right. So Gina and I are going to tag team this presentation. Reading Colors Your World, Summer Reading 2021. I'll cover the youth services stuff and Gina will cover adult services. So, woohoo.
There we go.
All right. So to start off, we wanted to talk a little bit about changes we made in 2021. There were a couple we made to the youth program. First of all, is that we eliminated one of our challenge options from 2020. The Design Your Own Youth Challenge had very low participation, so we went without it this year. We also added weekly activity badges to our youth challenges to expand at-home activities to things beyond reading. And then we reinstated prize book registration for our youth challenges. The books had been available last year, but they were just open to anybody. They weren't associated with the program. And this year we returned to our pre-COVID practice of having them be the registration prize.
Right. And for adults this year, as opposed to 2020, which if you remember, we had a really quick turnaround time for designing. 2020 was pretty much what we would normally do in person as best applied as possible to the Beanstack platform. So this year, instead of struggling with the weekly prizes, which was a bit of a stretch, we just added more grand prizes. And beyond that, we also added challenge badges, which made it easier for us to distribute tote bags. It was just a means of being able to do that a little bit easier. So we were using Beanstack in the adult realm, at least, a little better this year than last year. We learned some, so.
We also wanted to talk a little bit about the budget. For the youth program, the majority of our funds come from the state library's Ready to Read grant. So we use that to purchase our prize books, as well as the gift cards we use for our prize drawings and to pay for our virtual family concert performers. And then we also use library funds to pay for the Beanstack software, which both youth and adult use to administer the program. And then the creative kits for the youth programs also came out of the library budget.
And the adult budget was pretty much exactly the same as last year, with sort of the same amount of money allotted to the tote bags and the prizes, which is from our budget.
We shared a timeline for the youth and adult programs. The last few years, we've been able to coordinate that so everything happens on the same schedule, and it makes it easier for parents who are also participating to have one set of deadlines to keep track of. So registration begins June 1st and the program ends August 31st with prize winners selected September 1st. And then for our youth program this year, we had an additional deadline of the prize book pickups beginning in July. We also offered multiple programs this year for different age groups. So for the youth, we had two choices, either the daily reading challenge or the book badge challenge. And the daily reading challenge asks kids to set a daily goal and keep track of how many days they were working towards that goal. And then the book challenge had library staff create 24 categories of reading categories to choose from. And then kids and teens could choose any book they wanted that fit in that category.
And adults was very similar to last year's in that we keep it pretty simple. You log books, you complete activities, and that earns you badges, which in turn get you entry tickets into prize drawings. So that was the structure, pretty much the same as last year.
Everybody who participated in summer reading was eligible for some level of incentive. For kids, it was and teens, it was a free book for everyone who registered. And then we did we had several grand prize drawing options, and that was gift cards to local businesses. So every time they met a reading goal and unlocked a badge, they got a prize drawing ticket.
And for adults, every year we've been offering a free tote bag for all registered participants, which is just sort of a way to get, initially it was a way to get people into the library, which we didn't want this year so much, but we've kind of continued that tradition. So everyone who participates get a tote bag. And then the prize drawings we had, this year we gave away tablets along with some fun additional prizes in the theme of Color Your World. So it was all color themed.
We also broke down the registration by the different challenges. For the youth, the daily reading challenge continued by far to be the most popular with 470 youth registered. And then our book badge challenge had just over 100 people register.
Right. And with adults, we were up actually 50% from last year, which is great in terms of participation. We're still below our pre-COVID levels, but we're just going to keep chipping away as we hopefully start to reopen a little bit and get more foot traffic involved in the program.
Yeah, and youth also, we saw an increase this year, so it was double than what we had in 2020, but we're still at much lower than we were pre-COVID, where we had over 2,000 kids registering every year. We also have a breakdown by age. For the youth program, our elementary school age bracket continues to be the most popular, or the largest demographic, and within that, first graders are really our peak audience, which makes sense. They're building those reading skills and doing a lot of reading to help improve their fluency. So it makes sense that they'd be our biggest participants. But we also have plenty of participation from our preschoolers and our teens. So we're just going to go through the stats from the different programs really quickly. As I said before, that there's two options for the youth program: the daily reading and the book badge. For our daily reading challenge, we track the number of days that kids meet a reading goal. We have a couple of suggested goals that we provide, but there's always the option to set your own. On average, each participant met their goal on 30 days throughout the summer, and they read collectively on over 14,000 days. For the book badge challenge, again, it was reading books and some shorter stuff. We have a short story category and a poem category that they can read. And we're really flexible about format. Audiobooks and graphic novels count as reading for this challenge. And on average, they each reader read 4 books for a total of, let me move my 475. My little window of videos blocks some of my stats. To give you an idea of what some of those categories might be, I just wanted to highlight a few of our most popular. Cool cover art is always a big favorite with particularly our teens. This year we had some color themed challenges, so blue book covers, and then name and the title, fantasy and science fiction, and graphic novel for our other big categories. And as I mentioned before, we added weekly activity badges this year. So it was a timed badge that was open for 7 days, and there was some sort of activity that was a learning or social emotional activity, but typically not tied to reading. And we had 635 activities completed over the summer. And I've got a couple examples: have a picnic, read outside, draw a self-portrait, have a movie night, go for a walk. So all sorts of different things that families could do together.
So for the adult summer reading, I'll go through each stat and kind of explain when I need to. So we had 271 for the challenge, 152 read at least one book, which that participation level was up about 28% from last year. We had 198 readers who completed activities. So our activities were either completing a word search, a crossword, a bingo card, or writing reviews. So I believe our review writing was way up. We had 268 reviews written by patrons, and that was up 76% from last year, which was impressive and fun to read. Other than that, 5 average books read by each reader, and a total of 2,520 books were read by all readers. For our prize drawings, activities, I just discussed that. Read a book, bingo card, crossword words. Thank you. Sorry, Barrett. So this is a breakdown of the different activities and what was most popular. Reviews, again, were by far the most. And honestly, these kept pretty much the exact same as last year, which was really interesting. The numbers were only slightly higher. So pretty much the same. And then, go ahead.
Do you have anything else you were going to say on that, Gina? Or did I?
Nope. No, go ahead.
Perfect. We also went through for the book badge challenge and for the adult challenge to look at what our most popular books were for those. And so we have the top 10 kids and teens books here. I do want to point out that there's a huge range in this, which I think is really cool. We've got board books, we've got YA novels, we've got classics, we've got new books, we have graphic novels, nonfiction, all sorts of stuff. And I think it really showcases the variety of reading our youth do during the summer.
The adults, there are some of those that are expected, some bestsellers definitely in there. There are some others that are kind of just interesting that you might not expect to be on there, but these are the top 10 adult books. Yeah, interesting ones for that, for sure.
For the youth program, we did offer virtual events this year. Our main ones were our Storytime from Home videos, our virtual family concert videos, and our Lego Lab from Home videos. And so for our participation for this, we counted video views on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. They have video views have been going down a little bit. I think we're all just getting a lot of screen fatigue, and we're definitely seeing that, but we did still have pretty good engagement on those videos. Our teen trivia was something a little bit different. We used CrowdPur, which is the same software the Adult Services Department used for Let's Get Lit, our weekly trivia. But we, instead of having live events, which we were having low participation with, we did a 2-week period where you could go and do the trivia anytime you wanted. And we had much better attendance from that. We also continued to do our creative kits, which are super popular. We doubled the numbers that we offered for kids and teens because we knew that participation was going to be higher in the summer when they didn't have school to take up some of their time. So we focus more on science for the elementary kids. The Museum of Natural and Cultural History at the University of Oregon did STEM kits for us. So it was a video and a kit that came with all the supplies to do sort of science labs, and those were bilingual in English and Spanish. And we had Amazing Animals and the Power of Plants. And then we also did an art one called Sunprints, which is sort of a STEM/art project using light sensitive paper. And then for our teens, we focus mostly on crafts with macrame wall hangings and felted pizzas. But we also did sort of a cooking one and included supplies for making boba tea as well.
And for adults, we initially with our craft kits, because adult crafts are often a little bit pricier because adults aren't as easily amused, although some are with kid crafts. We initially started at about 20 kits every month, and then we upped it to 40 and 50. So we're, depending on the craft and the cost of the craft, we are now doing it at least 40 crafts every month, and they sell out pretty fast, and we're successful during the summer as well. So
we also wanted to share some community feedback. The youth feedback came from our end of summer survey that we do every year. And the first one is from a teen who said, "I loved getting the free book at the start because I was looking for something good to read, and that was perfect. Also, just being able to have a chance at winning a gift just by reading, which I love to do anyway." We don't always get teen feedback, so it's really nice to actually have some feedback from the kid participants. And then from one of the parents, I have my favorite thing about summer reading this year was watching my kids gain fluency in reading and more confidence in their abilities.
The adult comments were from social media. One was very excited to learn that there was adult summer reading, which that happens every year, which is great that we offer it. And the other, which is a comment that we hear a lot too, is being able to do something along with kids so that the entire family can be engaged in the program and parents can set an example by also reading along with their kids. So that's something we hear often also.
We wanted to wrap up with some takeaways of what we've learned from this year and are hoping to carry with us into next year. For the youth program, this is mostly based on our survey data. We want to look at some different ways to improve communication. There were comments in the survey of people asking us to offer things that we were offering as part of the program and that were listed on the Beanstack landing page. So it's clear we need to change our layout and how we're presenting that information so it's getting across to people. And we also had requests for email newsletters and push notifications and some opportunities to stay more connected with our staff. We're also going to take a look at the reward structure and prize offerings for youth. We always get a lot of comments about this. Some are helpful, some aren't quite feasible, but now that we're transitioning to being able to do more physical prize pickups in a way we weren't a year ago, it's a good time to check in and see what's working and what's not. We also got a bunch of requests to create more themed book lists based on the summer reading theme, which we've done in the past and haven't been able to gauge the success of, but if there's a demand for it, we love to make book lists, so that'll be fun. And then we're also looking at the option to create a separate program just for older teens. This is kind of tied into some of the work we've been doing around expanding our offerings for teens that came out of the city survey that was done last year.
And on the adult side, Beanstack isn't going anywhere. We're going to continue to use Beanstack. And so since we are, the adult program is going to explore some different format structures because, as I said before, we sort of applied what we were doing in person to Beanstack, which isn't a perfect kind of a transition. So we're looking at different ways of structuring the adult summer reading program. In some ways that might be kind of major in how adults participate so that it works better with Beanstack and is a little bit easier for users. So that's what we're thinking. And although in 2020, we were hoping to pursue kind of about a hybrid summer reading, that didn't happen this year. But hopefully next summer, we'll be able to get some of that foot traffic back, be able to promote more in the library because we really got a lot of participants through that. So we want to do a hybrid program if it is all possible. So that's some changes for next year, hopefully.
And that is the end of our presentation, unless the board has questions for us.
Does anyone have questions or comments for Gina and Barrett?
Just wanted to say thank you for the creative kits because this was our first time doing this. I have a 2-year-old and he was obsessed with them. He would get so excited to go pick them up. And I didn't think he was going to be able to do them. And with a little bit of encouragement and help, it might not have looked exactly the way, but it was even better because we don't want him doing, the art that has to look the certain way. It was about the process and it was so much fun, especially there was like a dinosaur one that he was obsessed with. So
yes,
thank you. We loved them.
You are welcome. And we do have another kit coming in November from the Museum of Natural and Cultural History. So if you want more.
We'll be signing up. Thank you.
Okay.
And on behalf of the board, I just want to thank both of you for the continued energy and creativity that you and the rest of the staff put into these programs in the face of many challenges with COVID and budgets and all that kind of thing. And I'm continue to be amazed at how creative and committed the staff is, especially as regards these special programs. So thank you very much from me and the rest of the board. Thank you.
And I want to thank Barrett for actually putting together the lovely presentation. Thank you. You make this so easy for me. I love it.
And if I may, I need to echo what Cynthia says. Cynthia, you put it beautifully, but I am so grateful for what our staff does, and especially Gina and Barrett. And I know everybody knows we've all been through COVID for a second year in a row. Even though we were a year into it, there was just as much change going on, changing things internally in the library, not knowing what was going to happen from one week to the next. And, through all of that uncertainty and those challenges, Barrett and Gina still, put together a really quality program and really supported our community when they really, really needed us to be there. So I'm always just so amazed at the work they do, but kudos again to Gina and Barrett and the whole staff for summer reading this year.
Well, thank you very much, Gina and Barrett. So are there any more questions or comments from the board?
I do,
Excellent
but I'm
work.
going to email them because it's a few of them. So I will personally email Barrett and Gina with my comments just so we can continue the conversation. I'd like to be able to help in some ways too, if I can.
All right. Thank you, Heidi. That's always a great opportunity on the part of a board member. Thank you. So now we have a presentation from Barrett about the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. I think the board knows that the Library Foundation is transitioning from the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. And Barrett and her knowledge of this program, and her support for it has been instrumental in that. So this is a real interesting presentation. So Barrett?
Okay, should be set up. Everybody can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So shifting gears, 1,000 books before kindergarten. This is our new early literacy program that we will be implementing starting in January of 2022, primarily funded by the Library Foundation. And I just wanted to give the board a quick overview of what this program will look like. So to get started, the 1,000 books before library program is pretty much, 1,000 books before kindergarten program is pretty much what it says on the tin. Caregivers commit to reading 1,000 books to their child before the first day of school. This is a pretty big goal, so the design of this program is built around the idea that we will provide structure and support to caregivers as they work their way through. So how it works in practice is that caregivers register in our Beanstack software. As you just heard, that's the core way we provide summer reading program to our community. So it's already familiar to many of our users, and it's fairly easy to use and already integrated into our budget, and our staff know how to use it. There's two ways to access, via a website or an app. We plan to recommend the app because Beanstack internal research has shown that engagement is higher in the app. Once caregivers have registered their child, they keep track of how many books they read. Well, everything has to be entered in the app in order to be eligible for incentives. We will provide an optional paper reading log to anyone who wants it. We know there are lots of different ways that this can work for families, and we want to be flexible in how that day-to-day tracking works. There's also two ways to track their reading in the app. They can either record the total number of books read, or they can record individual books by title. We're planning to recommend just keeping track of the total number of books read, unless the child has a particular favorite, because if you enter that book in Beanstack, it will keep a record of those books, and at the end of the program, they'll have a list of their child's favorite books during this time period. The incentives are primarily being provided by the Library Foundation at 3 milestones throughout the course of the program. The first milestone is sign up. Each child receives a free book and a tote bag that will have the 1,000 Books logo, as well as logos for our supporters. The idea is that children will be doing the bulk of their 1,000 Books reading using library books, and we want to make sure they've got a nice sturdy library bag to transport those books. Our second milestone is the halfway point. At 500 books, each child will receive a second free book and a $5 fine voucher, which is a waiver for library late fees. And then the third milestone is the completion milestone. After 1,000 books, the child will get a third book to keep, as well as a certificate and a button. In Beanstack, when you complete a challenge, you get a little virtual badge, and we can run those through our button maker and create physical badges to hand out. And we did that for summer reading this year. We're doing it for the Halloween scavenger hunt that starts this weekend. So this prize will either be a nice keepsake from 1,000 Books, or for kids who participate in multiple reading challenges, they can collect the buttons like merit badges. And another way that we really wanted to provide support for parents was to break this big 1,000 Books goal down into smaller increments so that we can keep them motivated and engaged along the way. So we decided to break everything down into 50 book chunks, so that when a family logs 50 books in Beanstack, they will unlock a virtual badge. We can associate these badges with different kind of prizes, including prize drawings. So how it would work is that on the first of each month, any child who unlocked a badge in the previous month would be entered into a prize drawing to win a prize pack. And we put together gift bags based on the 5 early literacy practices, which is research that ALA has done on behalf of libraries about what helps create reading success in school. And so the gifts are a finger puppet for talk, a shaky egg for sing, a book for read, crayons for write, and bubbles for play. We provided the foundation with some participation estimates and some cost estimates, and I just wanted to let the board know what that would look like. We're estimating up to 4,500 children could be served in the first 5 years of the program. This is a sort of a ceiling estimate. We very strongly felt that we'd rather overestimate on participation and come in under budget than the other way around. The cost for each child to complete the program and earn all of the incentives for the 1,000 books of reading would be about $12.65. So the foundation is authorized up to $57,000 over the next 5 years to purchase books and tote bags for the program. Additional funding will come from the Friends of the Library. They just voted this afternoon to sponsor monthly prize packs at a minimum of $200 per year, with interest in purchasing additional prize packs as our participation grows. And then the remainder of the funds will come from the library in-kind contributions. We already pay for the Beanstack software. We'll take care of producing the buttons, the certificates, fine vouchers, all of the other physical items and printing needs associated with the program. Our lovely Gina will do some graphic design for us, so it will look very sophisticated, but also personalized to our community. And then our children's team will take care of day-to-day program administration. One of the priorities for the Library Foundation was that we use the 1,000 Books program to help meet identified needs for underserved populations within our service area. So my presentation to them also included some ideas of how we could use the 1,000 Books program in this way. So the first idea we really want to focus on is doing sign-up events for the 1,000 Books program in rural communities and other areas in our service area that are where families might not be able to easily come to the library building. There has been some conversation about eventually putting book lockers in some of these sites. So if we reach that point, this would be a great cross-promotion opportunity. In the meantime, we can leverage our partnerships with the schools and other community organizations where children and families tend to gather. We want to partner with other organizations in our community like Head Start to identify the children who are most in need of this kind of program. Some of those organizations are like Head Start, and hopefully Oregon City is up for hopefully getting some preschool promise slots, which is the state level equivalent of free public preschool for Oregon. So some of those organizations serve our entire service area, and we can work really closely with them. Others are countywide, and so they can be partners for sharing information with their families and providers. I also want to explore partnering with Clackamas Parenting Together. They provide free trainings for parents on a variety of topics, and early literacy is one I know that they would be interested in. They have a great model where they provide free dinner, free childcare, and I believe free transportation as well, to remove as many barriers as possible so that all families can participate. We also want to build additional supports into the program design itself to help meet some of those needs. The big one is video resources. We're going to be making a welcome video that has a program overview as well as a reading tips video. We know that people learn in lots of different ways, and video content is sometimes more accessible than written content. We'll also be providing links to Bookflix, which is our picture book, ebook read aloud service, as well as all the storytime videos that we've been making throughout the pandemic. This will be a great way to support families that might have limited access to physical books, and also parents who might have struggles with reading of their own and really might not be comfortable reading out loud to their kids. This is a way to make sure that they're still having opportunities to share books together. We'll be providing Spanish translations of our paper reading log, as well as videos and other resources. If additional language needs are identified, we're happy to provide translations in additional languages as well. And then we do plan to do a monthly newsletter. This, as I mentioned in the summer reading survey results, families who are participating in Beanstack said they really wanted more communication from the library and offer opportunities to connect and hear from us. So we'll be sending out an email once a month that will come out with enough time that families can log their reading for the month and make sure they have their name in the running for the monthly prize drawing. And then we'll also include an early literacy tip and an upcoming library or community event to help promote not only library programs, but other resources that families might need to connect with. So that's the end of my program overview. I'm happy to take any questions from the board.
I had kind of a general question about with these types of programs. We're really looking for participants from our service area, correct? And is that considered as when the registration occurs?
That is a great question. We aren't going to be with the Dolly Parton program in particular because for many factors, but primarily the cost of the Dolly Parton program, they were doing address checks for anyone who registered. With the 1,000 Books program, we're not that concerned about it, particularly if you look at the cost. I mean, the lifetime cost of this program is 10% of what Dolly Parton was, so it's much lower. And lots of other libraries in Clackamas County offer a 1,000 Books program. West Lynn has one. I believe Happy Valley has one. Sandy has one. Estacada. They're all over the place. So this will work a lot more like our summer reading program, where we don't really, it's open to all eligible link card holders. And not strictly just to our service area, but we'll primarily market it and promote it and provide outreach events in our service area. So if somebody from Happy Valley wanted to sign up, we would certainly, if this was the main library they use, we'd certainly sign them up, but we wouldn't be going to Happy Valley to do any outreach.
Right. Okay. The other question I had is the used Beanstalk. Do you have to have a library card?
You do not. It is open. You just have to create an account with them.
Is there any way to include that as part of the, I'm just thinking in terms of getting active library users with a library card.
Question. The registration tote bag will also include a library card application. And so when they register, I mean, you can use the Beanstack app to register from anywhere. And so families could learn about it on the website and register from home and just get started right away. But to get the prizes, you have to come down to the library. So when they came down to the library to get their prize, that would be the question of making sure the family has a library card and they're connected with the library and using it in some way. So we're planning to, the software is really, we're really limited in what we can ask with the software. There's like pre-selected questions and library cards, I do not believe are one of the options. So we'll catch them when they come in.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question. How does this work for non-English speaking families? Particularly, we know there's a high population of Spanish speaking individuals in our area. How does it work for that population?
I mean, essentially the same as it. So the program design works the same. The language of books you read doesn't matter to participate. The Beanstack software and the website has an option to view in Spanish. So the whole site infrastructure can automatically be translated to Spanish. We're planning to have the reading log and the information that's on our landing page translated as well. We're still trying to figure out the best way to do the layout on that. I think it'll probably end up being that we have the English text and then, like a section break and then the Spanish text as well, because what we input, the site structure can be translated automatically, but what we input and what we customize is not automatically translated. If that makes sense. It's kind of a weird model, so we have to experiment, but that information, we would be able to put that translation on the homepage. We're still working on the best way to do some video translations, getting a Spanish audio to overlay, to get the translation of the translation into Spanish, and then get someone to record the voiceover for us. So we're still working out that, but we have some partnerships with the school district. We're exploring. The BookFlick software has 75 Spanish books included. And we do have a collection of bilingual and Spanish books at the library that can be used for participation. I mean, we're still, luckily one of the foundation members is is bilingual and is very active in our local Spanish speaking community. And so I know she'll have a lot of resources for us, particularly when it comes to doing in-person outreach and helping us, identify the appropriate translation resources.
Great. That was going to be my next question is what about outreach to that community? So it's got a good contact there.
Yeah. So Rosa, I think Rosa will be able to help us. Eleni at the school district will probably be able to help us. I believe that there are some Spanish speaking families in our Head Start programs. And I know that when they add the preschool promise slots in Oregon City, Spanish is a very high need for that. So The county is in the grant process right now to be getting, or the process of being considered for those funds. There will possibly be a Spanish language classroom in the Preschool Promise program. So as we're looking at some of those things, we know we have partners that we can, we can work with. And then from there, it's a matter of, making sure that we have interpretation services in place for those outreach events. But we do have some strong relationships with, we have a few key strong relationships to get us started that we can then build on.
Great, thank you.
Is the website just 1000booksbeforekindergarten.org? Or
it's a national initiative.
Mhm.
And so they have kind of like a landing website for anyone who hears about it or who is interested in it. I don't know, Greg, have we built the page on the website yet, or is that under development?
Nope, that's still under development. So we've got the URL set up. So the launch date of this is January of 2022, what we're aiming for. So we're still, some of the back end stuff we're still building, but we will have a full web presence on our own website. And the 1000 Books Before Kindergarten Foundation website that you're looking at, Heidi, it's got a list of all the libraries in the country. And you will make sure that they have updated link information so that anybody who happens to discover the program that way, they will be transported to our page and they can learn more about our local offerings.
Yeah, and then actual participation will just happen at orcity.beanstack.org or in the Beanstack app. And too many promo videos for summer reading. But yes, so there will be information on our website and through Beanstack, and we will get. Turns out that the national website still lists our addresses, the old Warner Milne address, which is now Safeway. So we need to. It's been a while since they checked on that.
Other questions for Barrett? Thank you, Barrett. That is a very speedy summary of a more complex program. And I just want to add that the foundation is really excited about getting behind this and are looking forward to how it rolls out in January. So thank you so much. All right. Any other questions or comments about either Barrett's presentation or Gina and Barrett's presentation? Great. Thank you. Thank you, Gina and Barrett, so much for your time this evening and for the very interesting and quick presentations, and colorful too. I love all the graphics you use. That's great. Thank you. Okay, Gina, I know you have to go, right? Okay, bye-bye, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Barrett.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Good luck tonight. Have a good event.
Thank you. Yeah, Haunted Oregon City. Hey.
All right. Okay, let's move on then to Greg's library director's report.
Okay. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Once again, I will not go through the entire director's report. There are a couple things that I'll highlight. And at the end, if anybody's got questions about anything I put in there or anything else you'd like to know, please let me know. The first thing I just wanted to highlight is the first item in our statistics notes. This is one of those things, my poor staff has been hearing me talk about this for months at this point. So one of the statistics that, as you all know, that we track on a monthly basis is our net borrowing to lending ratio. As a member of a library cooperative, kind of the goal is, we are sending out as many items to other libraries to fill their holds as we are bringing in from other libraries to fill our patrons' holds. We want to keep that balance so that there's no one library who is borrowing too much from another library or sending out and effectively subsidizing, another library's collection. I know this board knows this has been something that we've been looking at for several years. The Oregon City Library has been a net borrower for a very long time. So one of the key initiatives that we've been doing in the background, which has taken different efforts from different groups, has been to kind of even out that ratio. So we have implemented some new technology tools to help us get us better visibility on where the demand is. We have instituted some different purchasing programs with our vendors to make sure that we're getting more popular materials more quickly. We've done a couple of other things just to make sure that we get materials out there. more quickly. We've kind of changed the way we shelve things and pull our holds so that we can get them out the door more quickly. The net result of all those little incremental changes has been, for the last 2 months, we have been a net lender. So I am just so thrilled about it. And we're right at that sweet spot of 50-50, so we're basically sending out as much as we're bringing in. So it's been, a long time to get there, and lots of people put in lots of work, but it makes me happy to see those numbers converge like that. So I just want to share with everybody. Speaking of numbers making me happy, I did give everybody an example. As you know from previous meetings throughout the pandemic, we invested in some new people counting hardware. It allowed us both to kind of do a better job of counting how many people are in particular areas of the library, particularly when we were under capacity restrictions. And it also gives us some more granularity in looking at our patron counts. And so, as an example, I put in your report, we can run heat maps, which for a data nerd like me is just awesome. So, this is the month of September. It looks at all the, it breaks it down by day of the week and by hour of the day. And we can kind of see, when are the heavier times of people coming into the library. We look at both people coming in and people going out. Data like this is going to be a really useful tool as we go forward, longer term, looking at, things like, when we schedule programming, how we allocate staff resources. We're hoping we can get down even more granular with the individual zones that we have in the library, so we can start answering some questions, when are people using the teen area the most, or, what times of the day are youth services, are they most impacted? So I just wanted to share that, because I know we've been talking about our people counters, and now we're starting to get some really cool data out of it. So I did want to share. I wish Barrett was still on the call, but on the meeting. But I'll praise her once again in absentia. So Clackamas County has what's called an early learning hub. It's an organization that promotes early literacy or early education development, and makes sure that kids are getting those early education opportunities that need to be successful. The Early Learning Hub has a governing council, and for many, many, many years, the Wilsonville Library Director, Pat Duke, was on that council, and kind of brought the public library perspective to their discussions, and talking about how public libraries can help these efforts, and just kind of keeping connected to that. Pat retired last month. We're all very, very sad to see him go, because he's a fantastic guy. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. He had put out the call saying, hey, it would be really great if Clackamas County Libraries continued to have a presence on the Early Learning Hub Council. And so after talking with Barrett and knowing some of the experience she'd had in Crook County working with early learning hubs, Barrett threw her hat into the ring, and she was appointed to the Early Learning Hub Council. So we are very, very pleased that Barrett's got that opportunity. We know she's going to bring great experience, great perspective to that. And it's good to still have that library presence in that group who's working on early education efforts. And so that's going to have benefits for the entire LINC cooperative, but we're just really pleased that Barrett was willing and able to do that. So let's see, facilities wise, we have slowly but surely been bringing some more services, some more areas of the building back online. We were able to clear out our upstairs study niche in the adult area. It's being used for some furniture storage for a while, but we were able to get that out of there, so that's now open. We have done some more work in our teen area. If you come by the library, I didn't get a picture in there, I didn't have a very good one. We moved some of the teen shelving back, and we probably only moved it about 1 foot or 1.5 feet. But the effect of that in opening up the teen area and making it really much more of a defined teen space has been really remarkable. So we've increased the amount of square footage we have for the teen area. We put some teen computers in there. Previously, teens had to share public computers with our adult users, which caused some friction at many times. So now the teens have their own area to do homework, use the computers. We are very pleased. We have a whiteboard in there, and we started doing a question of the week program, which I also highlighted in the report. We get to ask teens for their opinions on current events, or just little fun trivia things. and they give us some fun answers. We had one recently for Banned Books Week. We asked them, should libraries censor controversial content? And we were very pleased that unanimously our team said, not at all. Libraries should be great sources for all kinds of information content. So yay on our teens. Let's see, we've got some new furniture in the kids' room. I know that's been, that's been something that after the pandemic, we realized we really wanted to focus on having some more easily cleanable, hygienic seating options in the library, just to make sure we're being as safe as possible and to be consistent with CDC cleaning recommendations, and just to make it easier on us to be able to do that. So we've got some new furniture in the kids' room. We're very pleased with that. We're working on more seating for teens and looking at some more options for adult seating. The biggest challenge with all of that is when it comes to furniture ordering, or even things like getting reupholster services, everybody is so backed up. The lead time on furniture is anywhere from 1 to 3 months that we found. I just talked to an upholsterer recently to look at reupholstering some of the chairs that we have up here. They're booked 6 to 7 months out. So it's just, everything is just backed up. So that's going to continue to be a challenge going forward, but slowly but surely we will work our way through all of that. And, let's see. I did want to point out one outreach event that we did recently. Our teen specialist, Sabrina, went to the Community Pride Barbecue event hosted by the Living Room at Rivercrest Park. Our youth services staff has done work with the Living Room in the past. They helped kind of develop that LGBTQ collection that we have in the teen area, and they had a barbecue event and reached out to us to attend that. And so Sabrina was there. She had some library information. She reported that the most popular thing was the button maker. So we brought pens, we bought button blanks, we brought the button maker, and the teens in attendance had a great time making their own buttons and using that as a tool of self-expression. So it was great to be involved in that. I did want to let everybody know that starting on September 1st, link-wide in our cooperative, we changed the circulation periods on several different material types. I won't go through all of them, but the goal was to try to make sure that every library was being a little bit more consistent with each other, and also to try to make there be not so much variation in whether it's a new DVD or a new book or a kid's book, so that people had an easier time just realizing, oh, if I get a book, it's probably going to be 28 days with a few exceptions. This is something we look at periodically, kind of balancing how long which items are out with making sure that they're available for other people to check out, and how we can kind of make it all consistent. I will say, in my personal view, is that everything should just check out for 21 days and we call it good. But that's an ongoing discussion with the other libraries in the county. So we're not quite there yet. So and other than that, those are the ones that I particularly wanted to highlight. But if there are any questions about anything else that's in the report or anything else that we've been doing over the past couple of months, I'm happy to answer those.
No questions or comments? Thank you, Greg. That was
You're welcome.
interesting. And I always appreciate the many pictures and graphics that you include in your monthly report. That makes it very interesting and quick to read. Thank you. While you have the floor, would you like to talk to us a little bit about the draft state library statistical report?
I will be, yes, and I will be very quick about that. So as I think everybody knows, every year state library requires us to submit our statistical report. They have some standard questions that they ask every year. They change a few around every year. We are required to provide that response back to the state by October 31st every year. Last year, due to COVID, I didn't get a chance to share those draft responses with the library board before I submitted them, and I wanted to make sure that this year that did not happen again. So I put it in the packet. There's a lot of information in there. Probably most of it is just interesting to us library folk. But I wanted to share that with you in case anybody had any questions. I noted in the staff report, the state library has gone to a completely different reporting tool this year. So in previous years, I was able to more easily generate a year-over-year comparison document, which showed our responses from last year and our responses from this year. That is not available for this year. I anticipate the state will figure something out for next year. The other thing that's different about this report is you'll notice if you went through the question numbers, there were some gaps in those numbers. Some of the data we report, we have our county library network office report for us automatically so that libraries don't have to go and calculate all those things. Our network office, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Our network office reports those on our behalf, and for some reason this year the state did not include those. So I don't get to see what was reported to the state on that document. I know the data was reported, I have the data, but it just doesn't appear on my version when I submit and print it out. So that's what those gaps are, and it's things like, you know, the circulation numbers for certain collections. Once I submit this to the state at the end of October, after a couple of months, they will release them. There'll be a spreadsheet that compares us with all of the libraries, and I can certainly bring that data back to the library board if you have any, you know, questions about it. But I just wanted to make sure that you had at least seen a copy of the draft before I finish up the work of submitting it.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. Are there questions of Greg about the library statistical report? Okay, so this was a draft. When will the final one be ready, and what's your deadline on that?
My deadline is October 31st, so my goal is to get this done by the end of next week. So
Okay,
I will
all right,
get it
good luck.
all submitted. Yes.
So-
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving to communications, I'll go with the Library Foundation. The last meeting of the Library Foundation was September 16th, and we had a presentation from Barrett about the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, and made a formal vote to support the project with foundation funds. And we're very excited about that. And we're also excited about the fact that moving to the 1,000 Books project instead of the Dolly Parton frees up foundation funds that we can use then to support some other library priorities. And Greg talked to us a little bit about the some priorities that he has coming up, and we'll have more information for you about our support of that after our next meeting, which is next week. So I'll have a little more to say to you next time. So let's see, Nick, do you want to talk about LDAC, or is there anything to report?
Yeah, with the LDAC is currently scheduled to have a meeting on the 25th of October, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, all
I mean,
right, thank you.
there's some work being done, but I don't know how high a priority it is at this point.
Okay, all right, well, we'll look forward to hearing what happens next then. Then Larry, do you want to talk a little bit about the Friends of the Library?
The Friends met this afternoon, and I think in Barrett's report, you saw that we were planning on asking for $200 per year for prize packets, and they voted to grant that to us at that time. And the other thing is, I'm going to ask Greg to do this because I got lost in the ins and outs of the honorarium for the presentation. You want to cover that?
Yes, thanks, Oz. So tonight we are having a program, a Halloween program. So it's Commissioner Rocky Smith is doing his Oregon City Haunted History webinar. We did it last year. It was very popular. This year we've got, last I checked, we had 85 registrations for it, which is great. As a sitting city commissioner, Commissioner Smith does not want to receive any funds, from a city department, just to make sure that there's no appearance of any sort of favoritism or impropriety. And his request has always been, if there is any sort of honorarium, that it get donated to the Friends of the Ermitinger House. And so typically what we do is we ask our friends of the library if they would be willing to make a donation from their funds directly to the Friends of the Ermitinger House in honor of Commissioner Smith's, willingness to provide a library program. And so they for the second year in a row, they approved that request. So they will be making a donation to the Friends of the Ermitinger House in recognition of Rocky's presentation tonight.
You see why I didn't want to do that. Well, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Larry. Thank you for just continuing with your work on that that group, and also thanks to Nick for his work with LDAC. So we move to future agenda items. I have a couple that I would request, but how about others? Are there some future agenda items for the rest of you?
I assume that we're going to do something with the strategic plan at some point. Is there an update about how that's progressing?
Yeah, I can give a quick update. We had scheduling is always difficult. We had 2 subcommittee meetings scheduled. We were going to have the first one this Friday and the second one next Friday. David had an issue, scheduling conflict. He was not able to make it here tonight, and he's not going to be able to make the Friday, our anticipated Friday meeting. So we're looking to have our first strategic plan subcommittee meeting on Friday, October 22nd, and I will get that posted publicly posted and sent out to all of you for visibility's purposes. But we anticipate that will be on the 22nd at 2 o'clock, and then depending on how far we get with that, we'll kind of converse then about next steps, next meetings, if we need to have any of those. So
Thanks.
I'd like to have an update at some point about the high-low project, which we heard about, getting funded a couple of months ago. And so at some point, when we have something to report, I'd like to know a little bit more about the high-low project. And and then we brought up the bylaws revision a couple of months ago, and I know it's easy for those things to kind of get sidelined, but I think we should probably at least know where we are with that. And then there was going to be some more discussion and work on the use of the conference room. So I'd like to follow up on that as well.
We can definitely put those on the agenda. Just to let you know, you'll probably be seeing a conference room, a revised conference room policy next meeting.
Great.
On the bylaws revision, that's actually leads into my future item that I put on the agenda. So the bylaws revision primarily dealt with subcommittee appointments, if everybody remembers. The City Commission is also working on how they want to handle committee appointments. And so in talking with the city manager and our city recorder, we want to let the City Commission have that discussion first about how they envision subcommittee and committee appointments working before we present a bylaws change, which potentially could conflict with what they're doing. So I believe at the next City Commission work session, they're going to be discussing how the City Commission and the mayor, how they make their committee appointments. So as soon as they've got through that discussion, that will give us as staff a little more guidance, and that we can go forward with those bylaws revisions.
Great.
That does also impact commission reappointments. So in the past, the process has been, we take a meeting, we send out applications. Sorry, I should back up. We've got 2 positions coming vacant. So Nick and Oz, their first terms officially end at the end of this year. In the past, the city would advertise for applicants for those positions. Those applications would come in, the library board would get to review those. The library board would interview the candidates and prepare a ranked recommendation to forward on to the mayor and the City Commission. I believe that process may change this year. I was hoping I was going to get some information today that I could share with you, but that has not come out from the city yet. But just to set expectations, I anticipate that there may be, that the mayor may be more directly involved with that interview process than in previous years. So as soon as I have more information about what the final process is going to be for evaluating candidates for reappointment, I will let you all know. I will, of course, strongly encourage Nick and Oz, if you are interested in reapplying. I believe the city has either will or has already or will soon be sending you information on the reapplication process. So please
I
pay
have received
attention.
that.
Okay, good. Please pay attention to any deadlines or any instructions that the city has provided in those should you wish to reapply for another term. So that's what I know, and hopefully by next meeting I'll have more definitive information and I can walk you through what the process is going to be for evaluating any reapplication or new applicants for board positions.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Are there any other suggestions for future agenda items from the board? Or from the staff as well? Denise, do you have anything that you need to forward?
No.
Okay, okay. We sometimes forget to ask the key people here.
Yeah, I know.
So, all right, is there anything for the good of the order? All right, then.
I will remind everybody, if you're interested, you still have time to sign up for Rocky's haunted history presentation. It starts tonight at 7 o'clock. Go to our website. I think you can still register and get a Zoom link, but he's always really entertaining. Gives some good information.
All right, thank you for that reminder. Okay, having no other business before the board, then we will declare the meeting adjourned at 6:39 p.m. All right, thanks everyone for your
Thank you,
time and
everyone.
attention.
Bye-bye.